This is dropped on Thursday here on the morning show on the SDH Network. John, here you there. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. Stacked Thursday for Thursday Thoughts. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour, and it is Nino Torres from Gold TV, where he comes in fully loaded for the first half hour, and then the last half hour of the show, it is our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports on the Soccer Bar, where we'll go over everything in the world in the first half hour, and then everything in Major League Soccer in the second half hour. And I got to come up with a handoff question. So if there's anything that I have missed in handoffs, maybe something messy and friends-based, I think that might be what we end up doing for the handoff today, going from Nino to Niko in hour number 2. Hour number 1, it is a special appearance by the Soccer for US PODs, Bart Keeler. So at Bartimus, see, now I had the Twitter handle in my head, Bartimus Prime 19. Bart Keeler is going to join us here coming up in just a little bit. And so basically think of Monday on a Thursday. And so we've got a couple of things to discuss with Bart. It is Memphis 901, separate and apart from our conversation that we're going to have with Bart. We're going to have a conversation with Kaylor Hodges from the USL show. We're taping that after we go off the air this morning. That'll be coming up early in the afternoon. So keep an eye out on the social media platforms. It'll be a conversation that we release to YouTube and a conversation that we release to the app. So that'll be on early this afternoon. We're taping it after we're off the air today. And we'll get into a couple of different things with Bart, meaning Memphis 901 and the CONCACAF Nations League and the roster, without spoiling listening to episode 102 of the Soccer for US POD, which it will be up and running also later this morning, early this afternoon. So keep an eye out on the platform for the new Soccer for US POD and for the conversation that we're going to have with Kaylor Hodges, in addition to the conversation that we're going to have with Bart. So Bart's going to be reffing down here. Think of it as a Monday. It's going to be reffing down here. It's going to be Memphis 901, and it's going to be USMNT coming up with Bart Keeler in just a little bit. And then once again, Kaylor Hodges coming up after we're done this morning. That'll be taped. That'll be posted. Set your notifications for that. We'll get into the whole Memphis 901 and their fight article. Full article came out from our friends at the Commercial Appeal about what went down and why things are not continuing in Memphis in 2025, and they're sliding to Santa Barbara in the USL Championship in 2026. So there'll be a couple of things to get into this morning on a couple of different fronts. We're also going to have, after the show this morning, we're going to start catching up with folks who are in the postseason in the college soccer footprint. We're going to catch up with our friends from Emory. That'll be posted as well to social media and to all of the platforms that we've got. So all the channels that you follow us, make sure that you're hanging out there as well. So we're going to start catching up with our friends from Emory and all of that. So it's a stacked show. So it is the Power Hour in hour number 2. Bart's going to be with us in hour number 1. We're going to break down Memphis 901, break down the MNT, break down reffing down here, anything else on Bart's mind as we go. And also, just so you know, and this is kind of an oddly flipped, how do we phrase this? It's an oddly flipped show this morning where you end up with everything going on this morning. You know, how we discussed yesterday at length what's going on in Canada soccer. Steve Simmons from the Toronto Sun came out this morning, and this will be another thing that we discussed with Bart. So Steve Simmons came out this morning, and I will take Steve's words and lay them out for you when it comes to what he was thinking involving the Canada soccer situation yesterday. He says, and this is from his 280-character app, quote, "Under the department of what took so long, Bev Priestman's out as head coach of Canada's national women's soccer team coming soon. John Herdman and Toronto FC will be parting ways. The drone scandal from Paris has deep roots." And I said we went into that in great detail yesterday with the fantastic reporting from Rick Westhead and TSN and everyone that's been keeping an eye on that program. We'll get into this with Bart as well. We might actually lead with Canada soccer in addition to Memphis and all this. And so full disclosure, we did reach out to Memphis 901 in their media relations department, trying to see if anyone from the front office or the ownership group would be available either live or on tape to discuss the situation and the timetable and all of the machinations that went into the demise of Memphis 901 FC. And from what we have been able to gather, this was a shock to the staff and those employed in the organization. This was not something that they knew was coming, and so everyone was kind of blindsided from it, from the information that we have been able to gather when it comes to what happened yesterday with Memphis 901, basically dissolving and transferring the rights to the franchise to Santa Barbara Sky FC. And at Soccer X, Santa Barbara came online and explained what was going on. And so they had their reveal yesterday at a business conference. And so they got the chance to say what was going on. But yeah, apparently this was a bit of a shock to everybody in Memphis and Memphis 901 that was not involved in the ownership aspect of it, but it was a shock across the board. So you got folks that are now looking for work. You got players looking for work. You got front office folks looking for work, and it will be then this will be something obviously that we will continue to track when it comes to everything in Memphis 901's purview. So we'll see what goes on there. Let's see. What do we want to do for opening kickoff other than all of the other things? It looks like, and we've got we have a couple of different things going on, but we'll go ahead and say this. And we've got the David Coote stuff. Oh man, that's we've got that apparently as well, and the PGMOL apparently is now doing their own investigation because now a second video has come out, and it is not looking good for him as it continues to go. But let's do David Coote now has an investigation opened by UEFA. But here's what we're going to do for opening kickoff, and it'll be quick. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So there's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us here, however you are doing so this morning, whether it's on the YouTubes, the Twitch, or the 280-character app. You hit that QR code. You start your day with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%. Reinvest into the youth games, youth initiatives. Our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, Claudio Ranieri's coming back. Appointed as Roma's third head coach of the season, they announced this morning. The third time that he has taken charge of Roma in his career, led the team between 2009 and 11, returned for a 2-month stint in 2019. 73-year-old announced his retirement from management after helping Cagliari avoid relegation from Serie A at the end of last year. Third head coach to take the helm at the Stadio Olimpico. Appointment follows Daniele De Rossi's exit 4 matches into the season and the 12-match rating of Ivan Juric, who was sacked on November the 10th. Ranieri's never won a Serie A title, did win with Leicester City. We all remember that in 2016. Roma are 12th, having won just 3 of their opening 12 league games this year. So 73-year-old Claudio Ranieri back for the third time, 1, 2, 3, third time as the head coach at Roma. So that is opening kickoff. Brought to us, I told you it was quick. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those hanging out on the 280-character app on the YouTubes or on the Twitch. So that is Soccer Down Here 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it. Youth games, youth initiatives, very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, there you go. All right, now it's time. 9:15. As promised, here's Bart. Hi, Bart.
Morning.
All right, so what's the mug?
Les Mis.
Les Mis. Okay. So let's see. Who right now, with the topics that we normally discuss, what song from the soundtrack would best describe, say, what's going on with Canada soccer?
Master of the house. Always stealing, cheating, and being otherwise unscrupulous while putting off a mirage of being nice and warm and welcoming.
I couldn't resist. In the topic of, oh my gosh, I'm completely shocked and stunned, the investigation that came out, the findings that came out yesterday. Let's start here. the findings that came out from the investigation inside Canada Soccer, and the calls coming from inside the house. I mean, not a surprise, but I think the levels, I think, are what, now that they have been put out in paper form.
Yes.
Bev Priestman and Lombardi and Jasmine Mander, they are, I guess, the equivalent of now show cause penalties. And it looks like the window might be closing in on John Herdman now as well.
Well, that's, I think, the biggest piece of this puzzle. If you want to, for lack of a better word, find the kingpin, find the mafia boss, it's John Herdman. But we all know that to get to that person, you have to knock down all the tiles below him.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the stage that we're in right now, because if you think that Bev Priestman was doing this because she just thought of it on her own, I don't think that's accurate. I think she learned it from somebody and assumed that was, as his comments have portrayed, she learned this from someone who just acted like this was normal and everyone did it, when the fact is, no, people aren't flying drones over practices to get footage of teams that you should beat. I mean, St. Kitts and Nevis don't need a drone to figure out how to beat them.
I was gonna say, why you running drones apparently on St. Kitts and Nevis? I mean,
Well, John, because they have players that are danger. I don't know.
You were trying. I know you were trying.
Like that, and that's kind of the problem here is when you look at all that Canada Soccer has accomplished over the last 4 years. Since 2019, we'll give them that. It does take away from those accomplishments the players have achieved on the field, and that, despite what John Herdman wants to talk about, is the real crime here. Is he has clouded all of their wonderful achievements. I mean, winning a gold medal, is fantastic. Pretending you won your little fake CONCACAF trophy is great. I guess drone regulations are stricter in Qatar. Otherwise, they would have, I don't know, done something at the World Cup in 2022. But that is something that, when you look at sporting merit, I'm sorry, it's just inappropriate. It's inexcusable, and you deserve to be punished and not be a part of the sport much longer, to be just frank.
The Canada Soccer wrote the separate finding identified potential violations of the Federation's Code of Conduct and Ethics involving John Herdman. So Herdman not interviewed. And this was the thing that we went into yesterday when we were circling back over the Rick Westhead piece at TSN, is that John Herdman said, and we played the soundbite from July, where he's like, I'm more than happy to come, to discuss what's going on. And then all of a sudden, as the investigation was happening, for 4 months, they tried to track down John Herdman. Right. And it's like, man, I got a thing, for 4 months, I got a thing. I can't do it. I'm coaching Toronto FC. Things are busy. And so said he was going to help, but then scheduling issues, I believe was how it was phrased, where John Herdman was not able to discuss what was going on in the Sonia Regenbogen investigation. I can't necessarily say I'm surprised by it, but, they literally, I'll help you out. But then 4 months of bringing you up, it's like, Penny, Sheldon, I mean, legitimately, that's where we are here with this. Yeah. And it was like, we'd like to get your point of view, but then the more that you end up talking, it would be the more that you might end up incriminating yourself. The whole thing about self-incrimination, by not answering questions, John Herdman ends up taking a de facto fifth here. I guess all of this.
Mm-hmm. I do hope that eventually they're able to get to him, because, again, this seems very much like he's the kingpin of all of this and needs to be investigated and punished appropriately.
Yeah, so I guess now that I finally found it in the board.
Penny.
Sheldon.
Penny.
Sheldon.
Penny.
3.
Sheldon.
4.
Penny.
5.
Sheldon.
There you go. See, that's what it was like for 4 months trying to track down John Herdman.
Yeah.
And it does cast a shadow over everything that they have accomplished, regardless. And it was mentioned in the report that there were elements that were not seen. That in the investigation and in the testimony that was given in the investigation, there were things that were shot that weren't seen. And so, nevertheless, you're still going to have that pall and the gray cloud over the entire thing, regardless of how much was seen and how much was done.
Yeah. I think, again, this is just, he does have a point where this takes away from the accomplishments of the players. I know we ran that soundbite a lot, but he's the one who did it. So,
yes. All right. So, Soccer for US POD's 102 is out, and I want to have a discussion with you about Jamaica and the United States. But I don't want to steal away from Soccer for US POD 102. I guess it would be Soccer for US POD CII. I think is how. I think that's.
Are we doing? Good Lord, John, we don't need to get back into Latin and grammar tonight.
Roman numerals.
Man.
Roman numerals. That's where we are. So, Jamaica and the United States with a roster that as you look at it, when you look at these selections that were made by Mauricio Pochettino from 30,000 feet, what do you think about this grouping here?
Well, I think injuries are still kind of plaguing the roster. Obviously, no Balogun, no Dest. And while we have been accustomed to Sergiño Dest not being a part of the team because of his injury being for quite a long time, that doesn't mean that it's not affecting down roster spots. I think specifically when you look at some of the depth players who are either on this roster or not called in, you can see how that how injuries have affected the roster. For example, he only brought 2 true fullbacks, Joe Scally and Jedi Robinson. Now, they've been a part of camp for this team for a long time. I don't think anyone doubts, especially Joe Scally's ability to play soccer. We see Jedi being a very useful tool, no matter who the coach is for this team. But having no backups behind them is not super indicative of great depth. And I think, Pochettino looked at it and said, well, I'd rather just bring in an extra fullback, maybe who can play left or right back. So, for example, Austin Trusty is kind of that dude who we know that despite being on the Premier League's worst ever defensive team ever in the history of the Premier League,
ever,
he did play left back on occasion at Sheffield. And you also have players like Tim Ream who can kind of play more of a left-sided center back / left back, and you have Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards who are a little bit more two-footed. So I think that is where we see some of the depth issues explained. We also have guys like Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa who could probably play right back if needed, especially Yunus Musa. And then you move up the field to the winger depth, and you do not have a guy like Kevin Paredes who's healthy, who has been starting and playing a lot in the Bundesliga. And so when you kind of have to when you can't include those guys and you have to move down the depth chart, you're stuck with a guy like Cade Cowell who run fast, run through wall, but not necessarily good with ball.
Right.
And a guy like Alex Andejas who has struggled to show that he's a good soccer player on the field despite always being ready for a fight, which is important for these CONCACAF matches.
Yeah. What about the idea of dual nationals? And, as something that Greg Berhalter in the past administration was chasing after was the idea of, hey, let's always be BC Cruton, always be.
Yeah, it's be Cruton.
Yeah. And so now you're looking at another group heading into 26. What kind of Cruton needs to be done when it comes to dual nationals to bring them in as a part of this whole discussion?
Well, I think his quotes weren't necessarily taken out of context because I think he gave the context. I think people weren't applying the context of, yes, we're recruiting, but, different than maybe Kirby Smart at UGA showing them the fast cars that they can drive into wherever they feel like they are allowed to do and get away with zero punishment. Sorry, Georgia fans. But we do have to make a good apology. It's not total college football recruitment where you're bringing out the McDonald's bags or you're, doing $100 handshakes. It is, though, important, and I think this is his point, is we're going to show you what we have. We're going to tell you what we see for your future with this team. But at the end of the day, you're the play for the U.S. And not just, oh, I want to play for a team that may be hosting a World Cup, but I want to play for the United States of America. I want to play for the badge on my shirt. And I think that's a good point. And I don't think that's different than what we saw under Berhalter's regime. And he was very effective at getting very good players to commit.
Mhm.
There's a lot made of losing some battles with, dual nationals on the Mexico side, and that side of the border getting a lot of the dual nationals we kind of looked at. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, a lot of those guys aren't doing anything right now. And I think that is a testament to Berhalter and his ability to say, be real with the player, right? Say, this is where we see you in your development. This is where we see you right now with the senior national team, with the youth national teams. A lot of those guys didn't like that reality check, right? But then you have Mexico promising them, I don't know, a Ferrari and, automatic start in the World Cup, it seemed like.
Well, that's where they are right now, I would think.
Never
at some level.
stand out, right? There ain't no transfer portal like that in
CONCACAF transfer portal, Paul.
Paul.
Mhm.
And so I think it's just a continuation. It's saying, look, we're going to tell you how we feel. We're going to show you our plan. We're going to give you our evaluation of you and you within this program. That's up to you. Because if they don't like that, then they are shopping around. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
If you're truly interested, you say, hey, look, I am interested. Obviously, you have to be convinced a little bit, because if you have several nationalities to play for, you do have to do your homework and your due diligence as a professional soccer player.
Mhm.
But, it's no similar than if you are a major player who's getting courted by several clubs. You have to pick the club that you feel most aligned with, and where you feel like you fit in best. And I think that was Pochettino's kind of point, is if you don't feel like you fit in here, then that's on you, and we're not going to force it on you.
Yeah. And so now, as a part of the discussion, you have CONCACAF Nations League, very, very busy. Very, very, very busy.
We got some nations leaguing today.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. Jamaica and the U.S. is at 8:00 tonight. We'll get into that one in just a second. The rest of the rundown, by the way, on Paramount Plus, for those of you that may partake in the Paramount Plusian version of things.
Also on Peacock.
Yes.
Okay with Spanish language.
Yes. Montserrat and St. Vincent and the Grenadines is at 3. St. Kitts and Nevis. We do not know if Cuba has been spying on them, getting ready for this matchup at 6:00 tonight. They may not have the budget for it. Belize and French Guiana is at 8. Bonaire and El Salvador is at 8. And Costa Rica and Panama is at 9. If I'm not mistaken.
That'll be a fun little battle there.
Yes. Isn't Bonaire the club that has the 39-year-old keeper that needs to go probably to the XL or the double XL jersey, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, I'm like 90% sure you are correct. That is Bonaire.
Oh, man. But this is the fun part.
This is the problem. See, John, I need to move to an island in the Caribbean, and I can probably
You probably could.
Caliber soccer player again.
You probably could, man. That'd be pretty good. So as we build to discussing Jamaica and the U.S., Costa Rica, Panama tonight. I know you're looking forward to that one.
Well, that is going to be a battle, right? Those are obviously two teams that I think have flipped places in the CONCACAF hierarchy. Costa Rica used to be always the fourth team, and a lot of times the third team. Canada's kind of really taken over the third team. But, when you looked at teams outside of North America, Costa Rica historically has been the most successful and dangerous to U.S. and Mexico. Panama's kind of taken that over with, a coach that kind of has revolutionized how they play. An outsider, I might add, someone who's not Spanish speaking, someone who's not even from Latin America. And Thomas Christensen's kind of revolutionized how they play, because it's not defensive the way that a lot of people think that it's defensive. You know what I'm saying? It is not a bunker, park the bus. Now, they will do that, as any good team in CONCACAF will and should. But they are looking to try to hit you in the attack, and they've got some decent players. And I think, again, Costa Rica, if you want to talk about the man in the mirror, I think Panama saw Costa Rica as a model they could adopt. And I think those two teams right now obviously are geographically proximate, but I think also from a program stage standpoint, they are proximate as well.
Legitimately, what are you looking for tonight in the matchup with U.S. and Jamaica?
Goals.
Yes.
We talked about this actually on the episode 102. Is Kingston's a place, despite them calling it the office, it's a place where we've had a lot of success, and not just wins and draws, but scoring goals. I made this point. If you score 2 goals down there, I think you have to, whatever the result is, right? You feel very confident coming back home to St. Louis on Monday. And I think that's the overall goal here, is still in the Pochettino early stages of his regime, is how do we get more balls in the net? How do we create more chances? How do we get our strikers more touches on the ball, specifically inside the penalty area? That is, for me, the biggest thing tonight, is creating more goal scoring chances. And then to follow up on that, you got to put the goal scoring chances away.
Right now, juice boxes have the U.S. on the road, even money at a plus 100. The 90-minute draw is a plus 222, and the composite Jamaica to win outright is a plus 282 tonight.
Yeah. Look, I think a draw is a fantastic result. But as, again, we talked about on the pod, there is a difference between playing for a draw, which seems to have been the strategy of a lot of U.S. teams in the past, versus playing for a win and understanding that a draw is still possible. Again, for me, going out to try to score goals means you're trying to play to win, right? You're actively trying to create goals, as opposed to passively trying to create goals where you're just hoping you catch one on the break. That ain't going to fly. And John, I do want to take us back to a year ago.
Yes.
There's a certain individual who's not on the team because he's hurt, who decided to, he was dissatisfied with the refereeing call. I don't blame him. It was a shady refereeing call, and punted a ball, I think, from Trinidad to Tobago.
Are you referring to this particular moment?
Ojo, aquí se va a ganar la tarjeta amarilla. Aquí tiene que ser amonestado.
Pero ¿qué tarjeta tanto?
Y ojo que no le saquen la roja.
Claro.
Está caliente por aquella del que cobraron lateral cuando le pegaron.
One of the most straightforward red cards.
Bueno, esta es doble amarilla. Si no la saca, el árbitro no puede dirigir nunca más. Le tiró un beso. Tiene que ser expulsado. Lo tratan de calmar los jugadores. Ahí está, doble amarilla. Muy bien Walter López. Pero muy bien Walter López. Una tontería, porque ahora no podrá jugar el próximo partido de este torneo, que es la semifinal de la Liga de Naciones.
And there you go. When Andres Cantor and the booth are laughing.
I mean, it was as a neutral, I'm sure it would have been funny, and Andres Cantor, not necessarily a neutral, but he's not as invested as I am. Anyway, I want to go back to that game because the U.S. did try to take it to Trinidad, right? This was coming off the heels of a big win at home. And they ended up obviously losing that game in Trinidad, but the reason that they still were able to advance is because before Sergiño Dest did his whatever you want to call that, spontaneous combustion.
His fourth down coffin corner spontaneous combustion, yes.
The U.S. was playing pretty well, and that is the type of mentality you have to take into this game. Obviously, no offense to Trinidad, but Jamaica, a different level of quality than Trinidad and Tobago, but there is definitely an opportunity for the U.S. You saw this back in World Cup qualifying in the 2022 cycle. You get an early goal, right? Or a goal before Jamaica can score.
Yeah. And
that is going to be super important to not just this game, but the overall tie. Go down there, score goals. You're going to feel comfortable coming back home.
Travel, score, result. Montserrat favored at home at a plus 122. Cuba, a road favorite at a minus 122.
Yeah.
Bonaire is a plus 1650 underdog as El Salvador comes to visit at a minus 1000. Belize, a plus 106, hosting French Guiana. Costa Rica is a plus 145, hosting Panama, who's a plus 206. Your draw is a plus 196. Tomorrow, you end up with League B, League A playoffs, including Canada, who's playing Suriname. and Puerto Rico and Aruba. That's tomorrow when it comes to Nations League. One more reffing thing that I wanted to get into before we get into Memphis 901. And Nino Torres from Gold TV starts the Power Hour coming up in about 20 minutes. David Coote. And I wanted to.
Oh, man.
And UEFA has now opened an investigation into suspended Premier League referee David Coote now, and this is a video, once again, published by the three-letter paper overseas, so take the information at your own peril. Allegedly showing him snorting a white powder while on duty at Euro 2024. Initially stood down by PGMOL, the refereeing body for English football, Monday after the first video was posted, which showed him making disparaging remarks. I love how this is phrased by Dale Johnson at the four-letter. For making disparaging remarks about Jurgen Klopp. And apparently, if I remember correctly, I was corrected where the word that was used rhymes with punt. And he and a friend of his who is a former professional cricketer were not fans of Liverpool in general. Yeah. So then UEFA followed suit on Monday, removed Coote from UEFA Nations League fixtures where he was due to act as a VAR. The three-letter paper claims the new video published on Wednesday, which has not been verified by the four-letter network, was filmed by Coote and shared to a friend on WhatsApp. It was allegedly taken at a UEFA-appointed hotel on July 6th, the day after his final appointment at Euro 2024 to support VAR for Portugal and France. A statement issued by UEFA on Thursday confirmed an investigation for a potential violation of its regulations that has begun. PGMOL Wednesday confirmed it was aware of the second video published, and then PGMOL came out with a statement. This is a fine kettle of fish, as the kids say.
Yeah. Oof. I do want to say this, and this is not defensive of him, but look, there are coaches who just clash with either your refereeing style or your own personality, right?
Yeah.
That is valid, right? Those things need to be expressed to your assigning person, whoever that is, at whatever level. Sometimes you don't have a say in the matter, right? I have a coach particularly that I just he and I don't jive.
We clash.
He doesn't like my refereeing style. I don't like him as a human being. But you also have to put that aside and do your job as a professional. Now, it is a little different when you're getting, at the professional level where you're dealing with some exaggerated and heightened personalities, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
But regardless, this seems like something that should have been communicated to PGMOL and that assigning body to say, look, I don't want to referee this team. Now, is that always possible? No, it's just not. But that should have been communicated, because this is, you cannot in any way, shape, or form say this, especially on a recorded device. So
now make sure this doesn't get out, right? This can't get out.
Right. Not okay.
You can't post this video.
Yeah.
No.
We're recording a video.
Yeah, you can't post this thing. No. We would never. No, of course, never. Then the other topic that you wanted to bring to the table was the topic that took over the tail end of the show yesterday. Mm-hmm. Memphis 901 is no more. Yeah. And like I said, we have reached out to Memphis 901 in the front office to see if anyone wishes to discuss the situation, the timetables, and how all of this came to pass, where Memphis 901 will no longer exist as of yesterday, and they will not play in any form in 2025. Santa Barbara Sky now will go to USL Championship in 2026 instead of USL League One in 2026. So you wanted to bring Memphis 901 to the table, so I'm going to let you bring the entry point in, and we'll go from here.
Well, first, I want to shout out a friend of the podcast, Lawrence Dockery, who covers Memphis 901 for Bluff City Media and through the 901 podcast. He is also, John, in the same boat. Like, this is a guy who has covered this team extensively since its inception, and same as you, he's not getting any information out of the front office.
Right.
Normally, I would be very upset with the front office over that, because we kind of need information, but I understand why they don't really have information to give, because they gave it in the statement they gave. And what seems to be the reality, and this is kind of what I want to discuss, is Memphis 901 wanted to get a stadium, that stadium, unfortunately, that plan did not go through, right? USL, especially at the championship level, has made it very clear that its teams need to have not necessarily their own stadium, right? But a stadium, a soccer stadium, very specifically, that they have some controlling interest of. And I think that's, you look at Santa Barbara Sky, like obviously they're going to be playing in one of the more famous college, if not the most famous college soccer stadium out there.
Yeah.
But you also look at some other teams, for example, New Mexico United. They have plans in the work to build a new stadium. Union Omaha, hopefully getting a new stadium. So there are a lot of teams that are still playing in baseball stadiums, and USL has basically said that can't be a thing anymore. And the problem is, I agree with USL in principle, right? Playing soccer in a baseball stadium is not a legitimate solution. But let's just run down. I don't know how much you got into it yesterday, but I do want to run through the timeline because I think the reality is Memphis 901 fans should feel very hard done by what happened at the state and local government.
Right.
So 2022, they come out with this plan, the city of Memphis, to it was $650 million was the original plan for a citywide kind of stadium upgrade and renovation. So this would have probably included AutoZone Park, where 901 and the Redbirds currently play. Redbirds.
Sure.
Sounds
good to me.
Minor league baseball team.
Right.
This also included FedEx Forum, and apparently the sponsor is Simmons Bank Liberty Bowl. The Liberty Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't sponsor.
What you're discussing is what was referred to as the Liberty Park plan, if I remember.
So 901 came out with this Liberty Park plan, which was going to basically tear down a coliseum that was there that is no longer useful or functional or even worth keeping.
The old Mid-South Coliseum, for those of us that remember championship wrestling from Memphis, yes.
Right. So the plan was tear that down, build a soccer stadium there, right? 10-ish thousand. And that was part of this big package. Now, the city understood that, okay, well, we can foot some of the bill, and teams were going to have to foot some of the bill, but we need to go to the state. And so they went to the state last year asking for $350 million.
Yeah.
They got it. That sounds awesome. 901's going, hey, this is fantastic. $350 million, though, unfortunately. So basically, they are going to get $350 million from the state. The city's going to put up $300 million, $650 million total.
Right.
Well, then the Memphis Grizzlies stepped in.
Yep. They wanted money to renovate FedEx Forum.
And the billionaires who own FedEx and FedEx Forum decided they needed more money from the city or they were going to leave. And of course, the city doesn't want to lose its only legitimate professional sports franchise. No offense to 901. We all understand that an NBA franchise is a little different than a USL soccer franchise.
Right.
And that took up basically 2/3 of the money at the end of what this package was going to do. Right. So you had $250 million.
Sure.
Ish.
Yeah.
Now going to FedEx Forum.
235.
$100 million going to Liberty Bowl.
Right.
None for the 901 Stadium over at Liberty Park.
That was, from what I understand, that was the first line item to go because Memphis wanted money to renovate the Forum. The University of Memphis wanted money to renovate the Liberty Bowl, and the Redbirds wanted money to renovate AutoZone Park. So then 901's idea ended up being
correct. So basically what happened is existing stadiums got preference, which unfortunately I understand, right? Building a brand new stadium, especially when you look at some of the costs of some of these USL stadiums, Louisville is at $65 million, Spokane $37.9 million, Colorado Springs $42 million. That's a decent chunk. If you're looking around, let's just say $50 million. That is a good chunk of money just for a stadium, right? Which which may or may not be able to be used by more than just the soccer team. Obviously they probably would have, with Liberty Park specifically being there, for those who don't know, on basically the same swath of land as Liberty Bowl. John, have you been to the Liberty Bowl?
Yes, I have.
Your thoughts?
When you are at the very top of the Liberty Bowl and you are shooting from on top of the press box, it is very bare bones. It is a bare bones facility. It is basically a lot of concrete and steel.
It's a lot of concrete. Yeah.
And there are not a whole lot of modern amenities, shall we say, when it comes to entertaining a fan that would be interested in going to see something in Liberty Bowl proper. It is about as bare bones as it gets, and it has been as bare bones as it gets as far back as I can remember.
Yep.
So it was something that definitely needed to be brought into the 21st century when it comes to being a facility.
Possibly the 20th century, to be quite honest.
That is absolutely true. I will grant you that. When I was shooting a Liberty Bowl, I think it was Stanford and Michigan State, and I was with our crew, and we were on top of the press box, and we were in a very, very northern section of that stadium. It was a challenge, and it was not weather friendly, and it was then and still is very, very now a very, very tab A, slot B, vanilla-ish. Hey, it's a facility. It's a stadium. There are millions of stadiums on this planet, and the Liberty Bowl is one of them.
And ultimately, the renovations are putting lipstick on a pig. I mean, I think they have some plans to kind of renovate the lower bowl to be a little bit more comfortable, not concrete, you know. But the problem is, John, as you've seen from that stadium, a soccer field cannot fit in that stadium. And if any attempts to make a soccer field fit in that stadium would reduce the capacity significantly. Now, I don't think the University of Memphis needs that capacity because Lord knows they're not selling out the Liberty Bowl, which is, you know, a fairly sizable stadium.
True.
So that is kind of the whole problem here, right? Is right now, Memphis 901 has nowhere to go. They don't have a stadium solution, and USL has quietly mandated that teams need to have their own stadium, if not be in a soccer stadium in which they have some control.
Right.
And John, I think the problem is I understand and agree with USL's overall assessment. If we want to be seen as a legitimate league by 2026, we can't be playing in baseball stadiums where we're removing the pitcher's mound to play a soccer game.
Yeah.
It's just not conducive. I mean, they're two totally different sports. The problem is, and this is where I know USL probably made this known to them, but it didn't seem like they were willing to give them any sort of benefit to come up with a plan B. I don't think there's a great plan B available in Memphis. A lot of people have pointed to, you know, the Mike Rhodes complex, which is outside of the city. A lot of people have also talked about, you know, partnering with the university to kind of create a better and bigger stadium, and those just aren't legitimate options.
Right.
It sucks that Memphis is the one who's going to lose out on all this because Albuquerque they have plans for a stadium. Omaha plans for a stadium. You know, obviously Cashman is not a baseball stadium in the way that we think of it, and it perfectly fits the soccer field, and hopefully new ownership will actually make something of that stadium. But you have, I mean, you look at Super League, right? You had a lot of brand new club men, and all of them, minus Brooklyn, have their own, if not have a stadium to play in that is an actual soccer stadium fit for professional use.
Yep.
Maybe outside of Dallas Trinity, but we can talk about the Cotton Bowl situation. It's at least a stadium.
Well, that and it gives the Cotton Bowl Stadium Authority another tenant, and it gives it more dates. And so, and the history
and a soccer field fits in the Cotton Bowl, and that's to Harry's point. The question is, would have dropping down to League One been a better option? And I don't think so. I think that's the problem we're seeing is this is not a USL championship mandate. This is a pretty strong mandate up and down the League One and championship board. I don't think they could have dropped down to League One and it been okay.
Yeah.
So, again, Omaha is having to find a way to make a soccer stadium, you know.
And you know, they are, and you know, they play either at UNO or they play at Warner Park in Papillon. And then, and Harry mentions the second team that coming back as well. And then in League One, and like I said, we'll get into this discussion with Kaler also, and that'll be up later today too. The situation with Northern Colorado at Four Rivers,
Right.
which is a completely different idea of problem, but it is a facility where you play and you had a successful on the field team. And I mean, there's some folks in the USL that have to really look at the not just the vetting process to get in, but the vetting process for future plans. If your initial thought is to be in Stadium A,
correct,
then what's your plan down the road to be in something soccer specific? And I think, yeah. So, and Derek mentioned
they're not. That's the thing.
They have multiple homes.
They have multiple homes. They have a plan for a new stadium.
Yeah, Dillon Butler Estates is being created. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is still undersized, mind you. But
25,000 is too little for. But
so they're getting the live, work, play, multifaceted.
Yep.
If you want to get a condo in Dillon Butler Estates, you can do that. If you want to stay at the Dillon Butler Estates and Suites, you'll be able to do that. And maybe they'll be like the Hard Rock Hotel at Skydome, where you can sit there, and if you've got a good, you can stay in the 3-bedroom suite at Dillon Butler Suites and restaurant processes and things like that. But no, there is a plan. Dillon Butler Estates is being created. That NYCFC will still have to want. But the thing is, Derek, and if you think about it, at the end of the day, number one media market in the country, City Football Group, tied to a large TV partner, all those kinds of things. You're not going to sit there. You're going to sit there and give NYC. You'll get there.
Always, we're going to give NYC a lot of leeway. The same way you've given Miami leeway with Erector Set Stadium.
Yeah. So that's
and USL is just not willing to. Here's the other thing, and this is where I'm not criticizing 901, but the reality is also USL is not going to give you the leeway when it's a baseball stadium where you draw less than 3,000 people a game. And that is the unfortunate reality for 901 fans, as while they have a very strong core group of supporters. Part of that is ownership not funding the organization well enough. Basically, a lot of the Redbird staff also serves as 901 staff, and whether you know this or not, John, minor league baseball teams are also understaffed in their front office. So you have an understaffed front office doing the work of two front offices because the same ownership group basically owns both. You have a couple of extra owners on one side and the other, but and that's the thing, is that ownership group, you could call them cheap, but they're just not as wealthy and deep as some others, and so they don't really have the capital to put forth for a new stadium either. They couldn't go buy the land, then demolish Mid-South and build, again, a $15 million stadium. I mean, maybe they could, but I think that would be too much.
And then there's the appearances of if you went to Mike Rose and you sold out Rose.
Yeah, you're talking what, 2,500?
Yeah. So, and I know that there was part of the plan was to, I think, an alternative was to expand Mike Rose. 25 to get 4,000 or 5,000,
is that enough is the question, now that is comparable to some. I mean, Highmark is 4,200. I don't think not Santa Barbara, a couple of the California teams,
Central Valley.
Thank you. Yeah, they have some that are on the smaller end as well. I think Orange County was in a small stadium as well. So it's not like you had to be in this 10,000 seat stadium, but I do think that the city of Memphis is a city worth building an 8,000 to 10,000 seat stadium, because the city of Memphis is a marquee stadium, or a marquee city in their state. Whereas when you're looking at like a Santa Barbara or, whatever, it's just not. I mean, look, unfortunately, this kind of happened to San Diego Loyal. And I'm hopeful that this doesn't happen to Oakland Roots. They do have stadium plans, whether or not it's, for more than a year, who knows? But
play with the Raccoons for as long as will let you. You're no one else is going to be there anymore.
At this point, I think you just say, can we just tear this down and build a 30,000 seat stadium? And
shoot,
I mean,
You
Get
take
some college bowl game to play there every year, the Oakland Bowl, and then boom, there you go.
you get you turn it to the last dive bar bowl or something like that, and do it with the Oakland Coliseum. Yeah, and Harry's like, please require 5,000, which is what you were
Right,
saying.
and that's yeah. I mean, again, Highmark is not there. They can but I think they kind of can get grandfathered in. That's understandable. Look, this is going to affect clubs going forward. I'm sure you'll talk about that with Kaylor.
Mhm.
Is USL does want to legitimize the league more than it already has, and it has I think the question is, are they doing this at the expense of their growth, or are they doing this to enable more growth?
Yeah.
Because they've created a fairly stable league structure. Unfortunately, we are hearing rumors of 1 to 2 teams not coming back next year,
Right.
at least the USL Championship.
Yeah.
But I do think this is something that the league feels that it needs to do to make itself more legitimate as they prepare for 2026. And this is one of those things where, I just saw another report today that, neighborhood in Atlanta is getting a lot of funding to renovate itself. It's going to be the Georgia State area is trying to renovate to look a little bit more like an actual college campus. And you're going to be seeing a lot of these places where, cities where the World Cup will be hosted are going to try to hopefully make themselves hospitable for the world. But all these leagues that we have are also trying to make plans to capitalize. And the reality is bringing these new soccer fans to a baseball stadium to watch a rectangular field sport on a diamond field sport is not a great viewing audience, or not a great viewing experience. And I understand.
A rectangular peg in a round hole. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. A rectangular peg in a diamond shaped hole, or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So Soccer for US POD will be up later this morning and this afternoon. So what should folks look at for Soccer for US CII?
Well, yeah, like we just talked about it. It's all U.S. men's national team versus Jamaica roster, and some not predictions, but some kind of metrics for what we feel like we need to get done tonight, to be able to then get the job done back home on Monday. And that's basically it.
All right, so then we will see you on Monday talking about match 1, and we'll get you ready for match number 2. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan. I got my ticket to the game in Orlando, by the way. So
there you go.
Did not get in on the bus. So John, I might just carpool down with you and back.
I'm flying down, brother. I'm flying because I got
you lucky.
Well, I got high school playoffs on Friday, so I can't fly in until Saturday. Anyway.
Yeah, my problem is I've already agreed to referee on Saturday, and then I have to work on Monday, so I can't
suicide run. Man.
Yeah, I have to.
Abby, second bus added, maybe.
I'm working from home Monday, but I still have to work Monday, so that's kind of a problem.
You can work remotely.
Yeah, exactly. What is that remote when a hotel checkout is 11 p.m. or a.m.?
Get a Wi-Fi brick and just carry that with you, or go with the
my phone does it.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Work from Starbucks.
There you go. All right, we will see you Monday, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for the breakdown on all the things.
Thank you for having me. Thanks everyone for being here, and it feels weird to be here on a Thursday, but I'll be here tomorrow if you want me to talk about the game. So.
We might.
Schedule was messed up this week, but
we might have.
Don't tell the boss, but I got you some presents for her.
Okay, so we might have you bat leadoff. How about that?
That's fine.
All right, so we'll bat leadoff tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, bye y'all.
There goes Bart. So we might have Bart bat leadoff tomorrow, and our friends from Beyond Goals hopefully joining us at 9:30. Jessica Charman joining us at 10 o'clock tomorrow to discuss a lot of things, because Jess is running around doing Super League, NWSL. There's some news there this morning. If you follow Jess on the 280 character app, she'll be a part of the championship match broadcast on Sirius XM. So we'll talk to her about that tomorrow. We got Super League, we got college, we got NWSL to talk to Jess about, and Major League Soccer, Charlotte getting bounced by the purple team. So we'll get into that kind of discussion coming up with Jess tomorrow morning at 10. We'll get you ready for the weekend across the board, and we'll just have general chaos on a Friday. So so Friday will be the normal chaos that is there, except that there won't be any MLS playoff to get into. Michael, to answer your question about everybody, Luisa Brom, Peru, Peru, Friday, and November 19. Luke Brennan, U20 men's national team. Their training camp, Marbella, Spain, November 11 through 19. They're going to face Korea on the 16th, France on the 18th. Stian Gregersen, Norway, November 14 against Slovenia, and Sunday the 17th against Kazakhstan. Saba, Georgia national team, Georgia, Ukraine on the Saturday, Tuesday the 19th against Czech Republic. Miranchuk joins Russia for a pair of home international friendlies against Brunei on November 15, Syria on the 19th. Efren Morales got his first call-up to Bolivia's senior national team after making appearances for the U20s. Ecuador, Bolivia, November 14th. Tuesday the 19th, Bolivia, Paraguay. Bart Slisch, Poland. 2 UEFA Nations League matches, Portugal on the 15th, Poland and Scotland on the 18th. So there you go. That's Slisch, Morales, Miranchuk, Saba, Stian, Luke Brennan, Luis Abram. So basically, starting today and running through Tuesday, keep your head on a swivel because there's going to be a lot when it comes to everybody. So Luis Abram, Peru, Luke Brennan, USU 20s, Gregersen, Norway, Saba, Georgia, Miranchuk, Russia, Efren Morales, Bolivia, Bart Slisch, Poland. So those are the teams and the win. Yeah, all the matches on the 18th and the 19th. But what you can do is sit there and go, you can politely ask, knowing that you've got a lot of your key parts in Nations League play. Can you play them in the first match and not the second, or at least, and that's the key, you know, can you get them released early? If you take care of business, can you have them play in the first match and then be available in the second match? Just have them come in and maybe be ready for 30 minutes or something like that. But you got to keep an eye on the Nations League standings and see how it looks there when it comes to the activity in Europe when it comes to Nations League and standings and things like that. So let's take a peek at the standings really quickly and look at Group 1, Poland. They need a win out of the blocks because they're 3 points behind Croatia in group number 1. It is Hungary, Bosnia, Spain, Denmark, Serbia, Switzerland. Okay, so that's it for League A. As Bart Slisch and Poland in Group 1, they need a win out of the blocks badly. Group B, League B, Georgia is in a street fight. They're probably going to need Saba a lot. They're a point behind the Czech Republic in Group 1 in League B, 7 points to 6. So Georgia gets Ukraine out of the blocks for that first match coming up in 2 days' time on Saturday. Norway is leading. Well, they're leading Group 3, but their goal difference is a lot worse than Austria and Slovenia. But right now, Norway is leading Group 3 in League B, and Turkey, Wales, Iceland, and Montenegro in Group B. So League C, Sweden, Slovakia, Estonia, Azerbaijan, Romania, Kosovo, Cyprus, Lithuania, Ireland, Belarus, Bulgaria, Luxembourg, Macedonia, Armenia, Latvia, Faroe Islands. Then you get the rankings of the fourth place teams in League C. And in League D, it is our buddies from San Marino. Next up for San Marino is a match against Gibraltar tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on that and see what happens with our friends from San Marino. And if they get another win, we might even check back in on them and see what's going on. But yeah, right now, League A, Poland needs Bart. And in League B, when it comes to Georgia and Norway, Georgia needs a win. Norway is in a three-way fight at the top of Group 3 in League B. So you're hoping that folks can keep an eye on stuff. That's the official words, that they can keep an eye on stuff. Get them to play in the first matchup and then see where you are points-wise and go from there. We got a lot of qualifiers today. The third stage in qualifications right now, a lot in the South Pacific and in the Middle East that's going on right now. We got qualifications tonight, and we got qualifications on the 19th. So we got 2 matches to discuss with our buddy Nino Torres when he hops in here in just a little bit. We got that to talk about. We have, hopefully no one gets injured. Absolutely true. And so CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers is going to be the big topic for Nino when he comes in. You know, his laptop, by the way, much like the laptop or the desktop that I have here, decided it wanted to be moody this morning. And so it is resetting. And so when it resets, Nino will come and join us. And obviously, Niko Moreno will join us, obviously, for the last half hour of the show, too. So, obviously, when you know that Nino's going to come in fully loaded, as he always does. But there you go with the activity with all the players. We'll get into Bolivia and stuff like that. So actually, tell you what, let's get into Peru and Bolivia. Peru has Chile and let's see, standings. So let's get into the standings briefly when it comes to South America. Peru right now 6 points adrift of the 7 spot, which is the play-in, going up against Oceania. And Bolivia right now is in that play-in spot in the 7th position. 10 matches, 12 points. They had a 3-game win streak snap last time out, 4-0-6 right now, Bolivia. But Efrain Morales getting reps there and Luis Abram getting reps for Peru. Peru only has 1 win in the first 10. Remember, this is an 18-match sprint that takes a good couple of years to figure itself out. But 18 matches to determine the 6th that will qualify and the 7th who could qualify if they survive the play-in against Oceania. So right now, Bolivia's in the 7th spot. Peru is the 9th spot, but they need help. And Chile is 1, 2, and 7. They only have 5 points. So Peru and Chile are the ones in serious trouble. They need all the help they can get. Venezuela, they've been drawing their way through 2, 5, and 3. And so we'll see what happens there. Other news this morning, briefly. I just want to see if there's anything else going on. I'm trying to see. City rivals are lodging legal notices against the champs. That is no real surprise because there is the statute of limitations. Jeremy Wilson at the Telegraph. Clubs are reserving the right to seek compensation to avoid any future claims being time barred by a lengthy legal process. So what the other clubs in the Premier League are doing, basically, they're putting a bookmark in everything and saying we reserve the right to later. So, lodging legal notices for the trial of the century, latest phase, Liverpool, Arsenal, and it is understood United and Spurs have all taken formal legal steps to protect their chance of major damages if Manchester City are found guilty of serious wrongdoing. A group of clubs believe they had no choice but to take action because of the fears that the length of the Premier League investigation and now ongoing independent commission could leave any future claims time barred, basically statute of limitations. Breach of contract claims generally have a 6-year limitation. And with the allegations of the rule breaking emerging in Der Spiegel in November of 2018, that's why you have all this stuff being filed this month. They've now reserved their right to go within the time frame. Eventual arbitration between Premier League clubs follows the outcome of the current commission, which can itself have compensation, fines, points, deductions, and even expulsion from the league. Okay, the laptop has been fired up. Everything is good to go. So now, as we roll him in, it is time to get fully loaded with our buddy Nino Torres. So is the laptop working, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Yellow. I'm back. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I just turned on the laptop, everything cool. I got my everything on time, relax, and we're gonna restart this. I'm gonna install some updates. Like, all right, 0%, 2%, 3%. All right, we're good.
Oh man,
We're here, man.
No worries. I was going over the 2 Atlanta United players that are going to be spending time in CONMEBOL qualifying with this next 2-match run. Efrain Morales getting reps with Bolivia and Luis Abram with Peru. And folks here have their fingers crossed that both Efra and Luis will get through it in one piece and that they will not be injured because Atlanta United is still chasing after stuff in the playoffs. So when you look at CONMEBOL qualifying, it is the sprint that continues. It is the gift that keeps on giving. With this particular go-round, it is today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, I believe. So what sticks in your mind with CONMEBOL qualifying that folks need to know about coming in?
Colombia, Uruguay is the biggest match of this round, man. In Montevideo, Colombia's been training in Buenos Aires at the Boca Juniors facilities. And people got excited with the Boca Juniors fans because they were, Chicho Serna, who was a legend, in Colombia, legend in Boca Juniors, had pictures with James Rodriguez with the Boca Juniors jersey, right? James, number 10. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Lucho Diaz, number 7. Yeah, Lucho Diaz is, it's is out of their league right now. But James Rodriguez, he's not playing. He's not getting minutes. He's on a loan. December is around the corner, so we don't know yet. But we might see some action there. James Rodriguez and Boca Juniors. They're so focused now with Leandro Paredes, trying to get him from Roma again. But I think this approach to James with Chicho Serna, who is on the soccer department of Boca Juniors. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm gonna leave that out there. That I don't be surprised that in December, all right, in December, Boca Juniors might make a move for James Rodriguez. Could you imagine that James in Boca Juniors, man? That'll be fantastic. So, but back to the qualifiers. Tomorrow. The match between Colombia and Uruguay is the most exciting clash. And on this round, Argentina's already in Paraguay. They're gonna play, play in Asunción. And again, this is crazy. Right? It only happens with Messi here, right? Only with Messi, because when Messi came to Peru, there was a lot of people outside of the hotel, aiming for Messi and not for the national team, from the Peruvian national. Oh, we go for Messi. We're going for Messi. It's the only player that can bring everybody together, man. And in Paraguay, it's the same thing. There were people outside of the hotel trying to get a Messi signature, a picture, or whatever they can take out of the superstar. It might be the last time that they see Messi in Paraguay. So they got a point. They got a point. I mean, you love your national team, of course, but you got a chance to see Messi for the last time playing in your city. I will go to. I will go to. I'm telling you, I will go to cheer for Messi.
Well, he ain't got nothing else to worry about, considering Atlanta United bumped out Messi and friends in the MLS Cup playoffs, brother.
Boy, that was just. I didn't watch. I didn't watch the game, right? I was following up the scores and everything. I was like, "What? This just happened?" Yeah, man. Boy, so I'm sorry. What's in Atlanta, right? Was it in Atlanta or was it?
No, it was in Fort Lauderdale, brother.
That's you guys were not. I'm gonna tell you this, all right? Because I heard you guys talking about your team, and you were not that excited about the run into the playoffs, and we're gonna make it. Maybe we'll.
Oh yeah.
See Columbus or play you got the best. You beat the best team, so the path is clear. I'm just saying, Atlanta United fans, the path is clear. So hopefully you make it all the way.
The 1, the 2, and the 3. They're on vacation, brother, in the Eastern Conference. And so, no, it is a week off because of international play, and then in a week and a half, it is down in Middle Florida against the Purple team, and then you got NYC and NYCFC. We'll talk to Niko coming up here in about 20 minutes about. I got to come up with a handoff question, and it might be a Messi and friends handoff question for the two of you.
Maybe I like it.
We'll see what happens in about 20 minutes, but. Right now, just so folks know what's going on in CONMEBOL, Argentina 7-1-2. They're 3 points clear after 10 matches coming into this twofer. Colombia 19 points, 3 points behind. Uruguay 16 points. Brazil has finally awakened, at least I think temporarily, winning 3 of their last 4. They're at 16 points behind in goal difference. Ecuador. Unbeaten in 3, but they've got 2 draws in those 3 the last time out. And then with the 3-point deduction, they'd be at 16 points if they didn't have the 3-point deduction. They're ahead of Paraguay in goal difference by 2 goals. You got to keep an eye on that. Then Bolivia right now had the 3-game win streak snapped last time out. They're at 12 points. They're in that spot playing Oceania. They're in the play-in round. And then Venezuela staring at everything. They're drawing their way through. They've drawn 3 of 4 before last time out. And then Peru and Chile at 6 points and 5 points. They got a lot of work to do. So when you look at this particular round, you mentioned the must-see. It is Venezuela-Brazil. Venezuela hosting at a plus 613. Brazil a minus 185. Paraguay a plus 458, hosting Argentina, who's a minus 132 in the composite. Then Ecuador, big favorite, a minus 588. Bolivia is a plus 1664 on the road, going to going
really?
to
Much?
Yeah.
I'll drop some. I'm gonna drop a couple of bucks in Bolivia. I'm telling you. I'm gonna drop a couple of bucks in Bolivia. Yeah.
Okay. The draw is a plus 655, by the way. So I mean,
plus
655.
That's the one. That's the one.
Okay. Plus 655. Ecuador and Bolivia. Uruguay a plus 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Uruguay a plus 131, hosting Colombia at a plus 250, and Peru and Chile. Peru a plus 136. Chile is a plus 250 as well, and that gets us through today and tomorrow when it comes to qualifying.
I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I know it's a really, really tough road ahead of us, and with everything that is going on here, it is also crazy. But I'm hoping that the head coach, got the talent of the skills to try to isolate the team out of whatever is going on here with the Peruvian Soccer Federation, and hopefully we get a positive result against Chile. I mean, I'm so sorry for Ricardo Gareca, the coach that took us to the World Cup, but we're gonna beat you, buddy. We're gonna beat you, and probably most likely it will be the end of Ricardo Gareca with Chile if he loses against Peru. Right? He already he called Arturo Vidal after he bashed him. Mm-hmm. Arturo Vidal, he said, I mean, he went out badly against Ricardo Gareca. This guy doesn't know. This guy doesn't watch the Copa Libertadores. He only watches the Argentina League. And he was trashing the coach. And after all that, he said, all right, you know what? I need you in Peru. Come over here. Lead the way. Those are decisions. That's why I'm not a head coach, man. That's why I'm not a head coach. I will not put up with that crap. I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So you mentioned the scandal with the Peruvian Soccer Federation.
Yeah.
You've listed here that it's a huge mess. TV rights, and here's how he writes it for me, just so everybody knows. And so I have the note. The scandal with the Peruvian Soccer Federation. Oof. TV rights, secret bids, lobbying. It's a huge mess. So please explain yourself, sir, with the oof.
With the oof. All right. So a couple of years ago, actually, Gold TV was having the rights for the Peruvian Soccer League. Okay. And they have contracts with every team in the Peruvian top flight division. Everybody has an individual contract separate, right? Even the individual contracts for everyone else, because Universitario doesn't bring the same revenue as, I don't know, Los Chancas. Okay, so there are different numbers, right?
Right.
But everybody was happy. Everybody was paying on time. Everybody got contracts until when was that? The contracts. Most of the contracts were expiring in 2023. This is when all happened. In 2022. I'm sorry, 2022. Expire on that year. The only ones who didn't get the expiring contracts on that year was Universitario Deportes, Manucci, Sport Boys, and one other team that I'm missing right now that I don't remember. But that's how it's going with Gold TV. But then we lost the bid. We lost the spot in the World Cup. We didn't qualify for the World Cup, right? So that revenue that is supposed to come with the World Cup, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that money is not coming anymore. So we gotta do something about it. All right, let's do something about it. So the Peruvian Soccer Federation made we gotta make a national auction here, right? For the TV rights. All right, everybody, hey, present your bid. This is my bid. This is your bid, right? They made an auction in Santiago de Chile, not in Peru, in Chile, and there was only one bid because it was the only company who was notified about the auction. The only company, no other TV company was involved in this. Only one. And guess what? Who was the two executives from this company, which is 1190, right? So I think they're operating in the States too. I think it's the general manager and the CFO were cousins of Joel Raffo, which was the president of Sporting Cristal, who is already in jail. I mean, is detained with Agustin Lozano, which is the president of the Peruvian Soccer Federation. His cousins, both of them, his cousins. And who was the first team that dumped the Gold TV? Oh, Sporting Cristal. Why? I don't know. Maybe I know that guy. I got a buddy of mine. Oh, it's my cousin. Oh, he got the TV company. Let's go with him. All right. So that happened. And yesterday, the headquarters of 1190 here in Peru, they got a raid for the prosecution. So trying to get documents and whatever they need to get. But not only that, right? There were already journalists, prominent journalists from different media outlets here, that they're gonna be notified. I'm gonna say Monday or Tuesday, because man, he was calling the executives. Hey, I need this. I need to talk to these journalists out of this show. Okay, made the meeting. Hey, can you just lower down your tone? Don't be that hard on the Peruvian Soccer Federation, because you're talking a little bit bad. And many of them accepted the deal. We don't know who accepted the deal, but we know who didn't take those deals, because he came out up front in a TV show a couple of weeks on Sunday. They said they came to me. Hey, they want to talk to you. Hey, but why you gotta talk to me directly? Why you don't talk to the producers, right? No, it's they want to talk to you directly. So he went to the meeting, grabbed his phone, record. Everything on the record, brother. What are you gonna talk to me? And they were like, they make it softer, but he said this, I didn't accept, and I know many other colleagues didn't accept those deals or those terms. But there are many others that they did. All right, so it's money involved. It's a huge mess. It's not. This is gonna blow up, continue to blowing up for the next, I don't know, until the end of the year or so. I don't know. It's bad. It's really bad.
I mean, when you have dudes that want to sit there and say, can you kind of tone it down, versus the idea of reporting what is going on. It's like, but I mean, I will admit that there are ways to report things, be solid journalistically, and still report. Right. I get it, but the countries have different tones when it comes to their journalism. But the idea that the Fed is knocking on your door and going, can you kind of tone it down a little bit? To me, that is an instant signal that there's more that's wrong than there is that's right, and that you're doing the right thing by chasing after the story at the level that you are. Does that make any sense?
Right. I mean, it's just, there's no freedom of speech here, or what is this? You try to, there's the different kind of people. We know that there's honest people, and then the other kind. And unfortunately, the other kind, they're the ones who take the deals. Mm-hmm. And you notice, right? It was crazy, because you can notice here in Peru, it was so crazy, because you can notice that one side of the media got everything. All the scoops. You got all the what is this? God, the things.
Well, if they got the scoops, they got the exclusives and the scoops,
exclusives, the interviews,
Yeah.
everything. And the other side, he couldn't even barely get in there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah, that's a little dodgy. What is this controversy with the Universitario Stadium that you wanted to get into? See, you take a cup, you're getting all hydrated because you're fired up about this too.
Yes, sir. Because all right, so they said that we're not going to play in the national stadium in Lima, because of whatever is happening with this. We got this summit here with it's APEC, it's Asia Pacific Commerce, whatever. Biden is here. The president of China is here. So it's a big deal. Guess what? Everybody's working from home for these 3-4 days in Lima because of that, right? No schools, no government officials, and to low down the traffic because, brother, I know in Atlanta the traffic is crazy, but you gotta come to Lima.
Awful.
You gotta come to Lima, and it is. I'm gonna say we're top 3 of the worst traffic cities in the planet. All right, so. We're not playing on the Nacional for security reasons and la. Okay, let's play to the Monumental. All right, we got the Monumental. This is the biggest stadium in the country, 80,000 people. Why not? Last night.
Okay.
No, they're gonna play. They're gonna play at the Monumental. All right, but the thing is, they're covering all the advertisement for Universitario de Deportes at the stadium because those brands are not the same brands as the Peruvian soccer team. And one has Coca-Cola, the other one has Pepsi, and we're not doing that. So they cover all the advertisement in the stadium. I mean, brother, what's wrong with you? You just got there to the pitch and put all the side banners, all your brands that you want to bring in, and that's it. You have to. I mean, the outside of the team doesn't have nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. And the TV rights. I mean, the TV companies, they're not going to show. Okay, I don't want you to show the outside of the stadium. Okay, whatever. Don't do that.
Okay.
But when it comes to the game, I mean, the cameras doesn't show the entrance. No, the cameras show the pitch, the players, and all. You can put all the banners that you want around the pitch, and so be it. No. We want Universitario de Deportes to be according to the rules of the Peruvian soccer team, and they cannot be using different brands of the Peruvian national team. Okay, so it's all black. You know, they put all black stuff around the stadium. It looks horrible. It's just horrible. And why? Right? Because Universitario de Deportes is not in the pack of teams that they are with the TV rights company.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So they didn't play ball, and so now you're supposed to cover everything up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand. All right. Benfica made history, and you got a really cool story about a scarf. What's going on there?
It was beautiful, man. The Clásico, it was just everything you could ask for. You know, yeah, 4-1. Benfica trashed Porto 4-1. Angelito Di Maria was sensational. And for the first time in 60 years, man, that Benfica puts 4 goals on Porto. For the first time, the last time was in the round 9 of 1964 tournament. You know who scored a couple of goals in that game? You might know. You might hear about this guy, right? This guy from Mozambique, Eusebio, right? Eusebio, he scored a brace on that match. But before the game, you know, I always do my stuff on TikTok. I'm a follower, so they send me stuff, right? And this guy, hey, I'm gonna make a big party at my house. Gonna be Benfiquistas, Sanportistas. We got a big party. We got caldo verde. We got all the food and everything. All right, awesome, right? I'm gonna put you on the stream so you can show me the party. But then I called the first game. It was Nacional Santa Clara early at like 11 or something. And she said, I asked, hey, what about your party? How's your party coming up? Oh, we're not having the party. What? Why? What happened? Oh, because my grandpa, he went to get his scarf. He fell down the stairs, and now we are all here at the hospital. So we're not having the party. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Okay, well, all right, let's do this. Right, give me your grandpa's name. Give me your grandpa's name. I want to say something to him once the Clásico starts. But it's gonna be in the first couple of minutes. So you gotta be, guys, alert. You gotta be, because it's gonna be the first couple of minutes. All right. So give me a name. All right, this is Joao Lisboa, aka Jack. All right, Jack Lisbon. All right, that's it, brother. Boom. First couple of minutes, I do the intro, all that. And I say, hey, dude, send a big hug to Joao Lisbon. He's in the hospital now with all the family around him. And hopefully, I don't know. I'm not gonna say which team are you rooting for, because I'm gonna get in trouble. But I hope that your team wins, right? And then I'm winning because they were Benfiquistas. And they sent me. They say that Grandpa was crying and he was so emotional and happy because I said his name on air. I know the family was watching in there, and man, that it made their day. It made my day too. It was beautiful.
And so, I mean, those are the cool moments that we get to have when we're in this business, where we can reach out and we can touch those that watch us, and we get that instant feedback, and we find out how much it means. It's really cool when you can have moments like that in this business.
It is beautiful, and now it makes you think, right? 20 years ago this was almost impossible, because you had that interaction, right? It was like it seemed like they were so far away, but now everybody's connected, and that's why I love to live in this era. I mean, everybody's you can talk to, you can reach everyone here.
What's going on with Benfica? And they made history in the Clásico.
Yeah, it was 60 years. 60 years since the last time that they put four goals on Porto, man. I was, and you know what? That's the coolest part too, because I was, I do my prep work and everything, right? But I wasn't prepared for 4 goals from Benfica. That and I was going, the last 10. You got the last 10 matches, right? The total record is 179 matches and this and that. But I didn't have that. And you know who gave it? Who gave me that stat? Grandpa. Grandpa told me. He told me, hey, my grandpa said that this is the first time in 60 years. I was like, oh, okay, let me double check this. I was doing the broadcast, checking, and boom. Oh yes, there it is. And for a second time in that game, I'd say thank you to this grandpa who gave me that specific stat that I didn't have handy. That was awesome.
That's so what matches? I know that Portugal's on a bit of a break. They got a couple of weeks. So do you get the week off, or what are you calling this week?
Just Uruguay now. Just Uruguay. Because Uruguay is behind on the schedule because they were on a strike for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
And there was another week that they were off because of the Juanito Izquierdo, the player from Nacional who passed away. So they're 3 weeks behind. They're catching up. Oh, international break. I wouldn't play. So they're playing.
Yep. Boston River, Ramos Juniors, and Wanderers and Peñarol are playing later this afternoon. It is that time for the final half hour of the show here on a Thursday. And that means we are not just here at SDH HQ in Atlanta. We are not just in South America, in Peru. We get to go to the West Coast, which is the best coast, according to some folks. And that means that it is 7:35 in the blanking morning, and we find out just on which cup of coffee our buddy Niko Moreno is on, and we get to run a fancy open to get us ready for the handoff and figure out what is on our folks' minds as we cross from one to the other. Niko Moreno joining us for the handoff as we've been discussing what's been going on with CONMEBOL qualifying. All right. So, Nino, sir, I will let you have the question for the handoff and what is on your mind with Niko Moreno. Could be CONMEBOL, could be Major League Soccer, could be Messi and friends. What's on your mind as we hand off to Niko Moreno in the final half hour?
Niko, your team, your Colombian, your beloved Colombian national team is one of the best teams in CONMEBOL right now. What are their chances coming into Montevideo to play the almighty Celeste Uruguay?
I think they're good. Uruguay is definitely a top team, and they have a lot of talent, and they are very well managed. But Colombia, coming from a win they needed against Chile, that 4-0 win was important against the Chile team that obviously is just a shell of what it used to be years ago, and in no way, no shape, way, or form am I saying that is a parameter for Colombia, but they needed that boost because they did have a rather unpleasant reality check against Bolivia. And they lost that game, and I feel like they needed to regain that confidence. So because of that, the inertia, there are a couple of new faces there for Colombia, but I feel like the starting 11 is going to be pretty much the same as it has been. I think that Jader Duran is in great form. I think that Lucho Diaz is in great form. Therefore, I think Colombia will get a result. And I'm not saying they're going to go out there and just dominate a very good Uruguay team. There's probably some revenge feelings from that Uruguay team after what happened in Copa America. Some of those protagonists won't be part of this one, which is always nice. But I think Colombia will get a good result in Montevideo.
But give me numbers. Give me a prediction, brother. I want to hear some numbers. I want 1, 2, 3. Give me a number, brother.
Oh boy,
that's tough. I'll go ahead and say that Colombia gets it done 2-1 at Uruguay.
So then this means that you are taking that plus 250 in the juice boxes outright.
Is that what the numbers are?
Yeah. Plus 250 in the juice boxes for the Colombia win, 90-minute draw, plus 200. Uruguay home favored at a plus 131.
Yeah, I definitely put some money out there, 100%. Yeah, why not? Why not? I feel like, again, Uruguay had a hard time against Ecuador. And, Ecuador also a very good defensive team. And overall, they have a lot of quality midfielders. I think Colombia can match that same intensity, and I think that they can make it difficult for Uruguay. So, yeah, man, I'm definitely confident on that, yeah.
All right, so Colombia also follows that up at a minus 161 as they take on Ecuador and host Ecuador on Tuesday. Nino, my friend, it is always great to see you, great to hear your voice and find out what's going on, especially when you peel back the curtain and we get to do some solid journalism. Be safe, my friend, in calling the Uruguayan matches this weekend on Gold TV. Be coming back, and we'll talk about this next week, and we will talk about whatever else is on your mind. Be safe, my friend. Good to see you.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you, Niko. Right. See you guys.
Nino Torres, as always. I love it. I love it when we can sit there and bring Atlanta, Peru, and Seattle together. To me, that's literally. It's like, oh wow! It's like, okay, let's dial up South America, and we have.
Nino I love it. We're all over. I love it.
It's fantastic. I know that we got to talk about MLS postseason because the main topic this week here. By the way, what cup of coffee are you on?
Number 2, halfway through number 2. It's been a pretty moving type of morning. There is no soccer bar today, so I get a little bit of time off after your show. So I'm nice, chill, collected. So yeah, good Thursday.
Okay. So Messi and friends are no more. The Gulfstream Galacticos are out the door, and it's been the big topic, obviously, here on SDH most of the week, where Inter Miami got reinforced for being top heavy. You know, it's like you want to be a team that launches all the threes and has all the offense. You know, when you're stepping back behind the 20-foot line, you're launching threes. That's great. But if you're not hitting your threes, and the other team is being solid and hitting buckets and playing solid defense in a best-of-3 series, you get found out. And the Gulfstream Galacticos got found out when you've got a lineup, but then you got injuries, and you got to figure out how you're going to do things, playing dudes out of position, making sure that, okay, I've got 11 guys that can actually be out there, and they've got to do things that they may not be accustomed to doing. What did you think about the Inter Miami Atlanta United match day number 3?
I thought it was a fantastic match. I thought that Tata Martino and Inter Miami sinned on overconfidence and lack of adjustments to what they had done. If not wrong, the cracks in their game plan and game module going against this same Atlanta team. I thought that both Atlanta did a good job at minimizing and limiting Messi, and Messi also did not have the best series. I thought he had one very good game that Guzan ended up stopping him everywhere in the first one. I thought he was very poor and looked at a sink and was imprecise in the second one. And then in the third one, it was a little bit in between those two games. But at the end of the day, Atlanta wanted it more. I thought Atlanta and Rob Valentino, credit to him, knew exactly how to expose that Inter Miami back line. You saw it every single time that Atlanta would get on the ball and would either force a turnover, or there was a missed pass on Atlanta's side, on Inter Miami side. They were immediately looking to the long ball, whether it was Martinchuk or Thierry or Saba. There was always someone running into space, getting ready to go behind that back line. And Tata Martino was never able to figure out the solution. Wijat was a liability on defense all series long. You had a guy like Julian Gressel that could have played that position. You could have done a variety of things to make sure that you were more poised and ready to stop counter moments, and he didn't. I thought that Busquets was a huge miss, and they needed to in some way replace what he did in distribution, in game management, and I don't think that there was enough put on there by Tata Martino to figure that out. Redondo had a very average series. So all in all, I just give 110% of the credit to Rob Valentino, to Atlanta, and the way they approach the game. Every single time that I saw Inter Miami lose a significant game this year, there's a level of, and don't get caught up on the word, I'm talking about within the game, of disrespect towards Messi, Suarez, and all those guys. Meaning, not that you're going to be disrespectful to them, it's just that you're not allowing them to get away with everything. Oh, I'm not going to shove Messi. I'm not going to, force him out. I'm not going to pull his jersey. I'm not going to get in his head. And I thought Dax McCarty, Majumba, and the rest of that midfield, they did that very well. Guzan wasn't just great by stopping everything that went his way, but his attitude, the way he came up and approach, he's getting in Suarez's face. Well, let me rephrase that. Suarez is getting in his face, and he's laughing. He's, this big, huge, broad guy. Just, man, I don't care what you're talking about. Get off my face. That type of mentality and character really affects that Inter Miami team that a lot of times wants to win just because they are who they are. I am Messi. I am Jordi Alba. I am Busquets. I am Luis Suarez. Monterrey did not care at all. They dominated that series in Leagues Cup. In this one, I thought Atlanta was very, very it's about us. It's not about you guys. I don't care who you are. Dax McCarty and Lionel Messi were going at it the entire series. I think that's important, and I think that they deserve that win, and credit to absolutely everybody in Atlanta for making it happen. I was happy. I was excited. I told you here, I put on that Atlanta United jersey. I thought Inter Miami was going to win, as I think most people did, but I was very happy, very excited in the manner that they handled that win.
And I think that this is key. And it doesn't happen a lot of the time when people are going up against Messi and friends. They get bogged down in looking at the name on the back of the jersey instead of focusing on the crest that's on the front of the jersey. And what you saw defensively from Atlanta United was they packed the middle. And they also made sure that the cutback cross was not going to be part of that playbook that you always see, where you see the deep run and then the cutback, and then Messi gets the slam dunk or somebody gets the slam dunk, because the penalty spot isn't occupied with anything but space. And you saw it defensively, the back line step up to the penalty spot to take away that cutback cross. You saw the folks in the middle of the field sit there, and it's like, all right, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us out here. You're not going to beat us in here. And we're going to take everything from, say, the 6 to the top of the arc, and we're going to lock that down, and good luck on you if you want to come into that space and try to challenge us there. And I think that Atlanta United looked at that playbook and they locked it down. There were times in substitution patterns where it took a little bit of time to remind and adjust. It's like, oh, yeah, I've got to do this. And then when everybody came back in under the same umbrella, everything was cool.
Yeah, and look, credit to, again, Rob, but credit to the players. I mean, Saba playing a position that he had never played, the sacrifice, the back and forth, everything he did on that right side. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but Ronald Hernandez and Luis Abram were not necessarily starters this season, and they played great. They played like protagonists. They did not miss a beat. They were great in the three-man back line. And on the other side, Amador, such a good player defensively, but also offensively, mainly offensively. 4 assists in the 4 last games. He was unbelievable. This goes back to the guy I always give credit to, and these are the type of Garth Lagerwey signings, right? Saba, Sande, who was also important in this series, Amador. These are guys that are in that age group that is not the young guy, not the guy that we're going to maybe worry about selling later or whatever was the prior thought process on getting players like Almada and getting players that you might be able to resell. So these players that are coming ready to get off the plane and make a difference, that's the Garth Lagerwey type of players that made a difference in this game. So credit to him as well, because it was that defensive composure and that collective play that ultimately hit Inter Miami on top of the head, and they were unable to get it right. Because even in the moment when it would break down and Messi would put a beautiful ball into Jordi Alba, and Jordi Alba hit it right in the middle, and Guzan was the big monster with the huge paws getting those balls away from his goal, the team would never lose composure. The team would never lose that character, that intensity, and they did it throughout the whole game. Whether Inter Miami would punch you right back because they did that, Atlanta United always had that resiliency to stay in the game, and they earned it. They earned it, and that's what really broke down a lot of those big time players. They're not used to you pushing back and forth in MLS. They think you're going to settle down. You're going to just be done. All right. That was a fantastic play. Messi just scored on us again. We're going to be fine. No. Atlanta United never lost a beat.
And by that win, the 1, the 2, and the 3 in the East are out the door. So the East has embraced the chaos. The West is more chalky. It's, I think, 1, 2, 4 in Minnesota. When you look at the East now, you've got Hudson River coming up in a week and a half, and we'll talk about it again as we get closer. But from 30,000 feet, you've got a rivalry in one, you've got a rivalry in another, and then coming out the other side, you've got LAFC taking care of business. Vancouver is always going to be a pain in the butt, but unfortunately, match number 3 was on the road. LAG put up big numbers, and they were waiting. Everybody else was waiting for LAFC and Vancouver to figure it out. The West has just been kind of chilling, man.
Yeah, the West has been a little bit more predictable, if you will, in a certain sense, with the exception of those who thought that RSL were going to come out of that matchup against Minnesota. I told you guys that I really believe that Minnesota was in great form, that they were a compact team, they were going to make it difficult. So yeah, the West has been a little bit more predictable in a certain sense. I think you get some really good matchups. I still consider LAFC and Seattle a rivalry game. So I think that 3 out of the 4 matchups that we have for the semifinals, if you will, or of each conference, you do get some pretty good rivalry games, right? So speaking of the West per se, Seattle will make the trip to LAFC. LAFC has beat them 4 times this season. LAFC has outscored Seattle 9-1. They completely shut down this Sounders team that has had issues scoring goals all season, but specifically against LAFC, Jordan Morris has been put on a box, put on a jail cell in between those 3 monsters in the back, Murillo, Chenot, and Aaron Long. How do they try to figure that out? I asked Jordan. He said, I got to start generating more space for those around me. I think Jordan is very, he understands, and he's very aware of how inefficient he's been against LAFC. So I do expect Seattle to use a little bit of that blueprint that Vancouver left you. They were using the inside channels. They were playing from the outside in. Fafa Picault cutting from the outside in. The way that you were connecting with Brian White, the moments you were finding him, I feel a lot of it was centralizing your games and not necessarily, you do get him wide, right? But you come back inside against this LAFC team. And I think that Seattle could do that if their players play to their max potential. I want to see Pedro de la Vega. I would like to see him on the left wing so he can come inside and use that right foot to maybe get you some balls in, be a little bit more dangerous, be a little bit more comfortable on the left side. And maybe you leave Paul Rothrock on the right side to give you 2 things, right? Is that ability to maybe get behind on that end, but specifically that back and forth against Denis Bouanga, against Hollingstead. LAFC likes to attack on the left side. So I think if Seattle can make some adjustments, they can give LAFC some issues. But at the end of the day, I really don't think that Seattle matches up well. And I think that they will play their hearts out, but they won't get the result. I just think the LAFC has a little bit too much talent. I feel like Steve Cherundolo got a whole series of games against Vancouver to mess up his lineup in game 2 and in game 3, and then he finally adjusted back to that 4-3-3 and put Ilie Sanchez in. So I think that he made the mistakes he was going to make in the previous series, and now he's going to come in completely clicked in and ready to give Seattle a tough matchup, and I think that they'll win it at home.
What I want to do now is I want to ask you about Garth Lagerwey, the executive, because of what has been going on here with Atlanta United. And there's been some discussions about this particular Atlanta United side and what they have gone through this season, and the head coaching situation and the parallels where Brian Schmetzer was named to replace Siggy Schmidt when you had the run that Seattle was on. There are some parallels here, but I also wanted to see if you could let us in on the individual that you know as Garth Lagerwey. And there was an interview that Garth did on local radio on the flagship station for Atlanta United. And he was asked about everything that had gone on this year. And here's what he said, and I wanted to get your feedback on the Garth Lagerwey that you know and the Garth Lagerwey that we're seeing here in Atlanta United. So here's the quote. Look, we were not going to win anything with that group. With the personalities in that locker room and the mentality that we had, we were not going to win any titles, and we knew it. And so we wanted to maximize the resources that we could take out of that group. And that's when we moved on from some players. At the end of the day, we got in, we have a chance, and now we're taking advantage of it with a group that believes in itself and is much better put together. And that's a real credit to Rob Valentino and his staff and the players. Paragraph. We had some folks who weren't committed to being in Atlanta long term. It's as simple as that, and they were looking for their next move. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of pro sports. There's no emotion behind that, but they didn't want to be here long term, so we needed to get guys here who were committed, end quote. So Garth
That's
said,
Garth Lagerwey.
okay.
That is the Garth Lagerwey that I know. The Garth Lagerwey, and I did speak to him briefly. Obviously, he had a lot more things to do, but I did spoke to him briefly, and as always, he gave nothing but all of the credit to the group around him and the coaching staff and the players and the team and how they bought into what the organization had played out and put out and what Rob had done. But with that quote, it basically highlights what I think is, in my opinion, the best attribute that Garth Lagerwey has as a GM, CEO, front office manager. I mean, the ability to understand people and understand that beyond your talent, the intangibles are so important. Intangibles is a word that gets it's very underrated. Sometimes it's used as a cliche, but if you find a way to really understand what it means, it provides you with a whole different perspective. And that's what, when you heard me talk about all the fat that Garth Lagerwey was shedding as soon as he got to Atlanta United, that's what that was. Getting rid of people that don't believe, getting rid of people that are not going to be committed to the overall sense of unity and united objective of getting together. And it might sound I don't know, too romantic, and that's not what soccer is about, but it's a reality. And between not just getting rid of people that maybe were not going to be part of that project, but with his experience and understanding of what certain players can provide you, I think that Garth Lagerwey, in a sense, understand people better than most. And when you combine that with a huge and high soccer IQ, you get a guy that's going to provide you with a foundation to a great club. And that's what that quote tells me. That's the Garth Lagerwey that I know. And regardless of all his accolades as a manager, the person who is Garth Lagerwey is what really, to me, makes him the best asset for any club in MLS.
Then it was a discussion about back in 2016. Seattle was in 9th place. They part ways with Siggy Schmidt. Brian Schmetzer, who was the interim back in 2016, leads them to a run to MLS Cup. Named manager during the Western Conference semifinals. Garth once again was asked about this on 92.9 The Game. And he mentioned it. I've been in this position before. So Rob is very much a candidate. He and I just chatted about this yesterday, basically 2 days ago. He's certainly a very strong candidate based on what he's been, but right now we have a process, and we're going to keep going with that process, unfortunately, not just with the head coach, but with the GM, and we're going to put together the best team. We really want to get a GM and a coach who will work well together, and we're going to land on those, and those decisions get pushed out so long as we keep winning, and that increases everybody's chances of sticking around. Rob's done an awesome job at creating a sense of belief, and we're really proud of what he's done, end quote. That was the same interview from 92.9 The Game 2 days ago. So
yeah. This is great because, hey, did I or did I not bring this exact same scenario to you before the series? I literally said it. If Rob Valentino does pull this miracle, does Atlanta United keep him? Because that is the position where Garth has been in the past. And I think he is he wants this team to succeed, and you can see it, but he's probably telling himself, man, it's going to be difficult to figure out with all these great candidates that are out there, including Jim and all of the other places where I'm sure that they're looking at Al Broad. He's probably thinking, man, if Rob does get us to a final, if he does, how do I go to a coach that just took this Atlanta team to a final that I'm going to be replacing him with someone else? I mean, that's a difficult decision. What I will say is that if I know something about Garth Lagerwey is that he's not afraid of being the villain, quote unquote, right? I mean, of just being the guy that if, let's say, he does end up finding a better candidate, a better duo of GM and coaching staff in general, and he has to go to Rob Valentino and say, look, this is what's best for the club, he's going to do it. And he did that in Seattle with a lot of players that maybe at the time were upset that they were being let go or that things didn't go their way. But ultimately, after I talked to them years later, he's like, man, I got nothing but respect for Garth Lagerwey. So if he has to make that tough decision, he's going to make it. He's not going to think twice about him. He's going to trust his gut. He's going to trust his IQ, what's best for the club. And if he has to be the villain and, maybe take a lot of heat from fans that maybe would like to keep a guy like Rob Valentino, players, general narrative of, man, how do you do that to a coach that just took you to a final? He'll do it. But he'll think about it because, once again, he's been in that position before. He made the right choice with Brian Smetzer at the time. And I think it all goes back to him reading the situation and saying what's best for the club. So ultimately, he's going to have the benefit of everybody in that organization. And that's exactly why I've been telling you guys that this team is in good hands as long as Garth Lagerwey is involved.
Was it really a miracle that Atlanta United beat Inter Miami, considering the issues that Messi and friends were having on the field?
I think it is simply because of the way it played out. I mean, everything was in Inter Miami's, and maybe miracle is the wrong word, but it was surprising because everything kind of went their way. You go back home, you kind of gave some time for Tata Martino to figure out what he needed to do better against Atlanta United. There was no way that if you would have asked anyone that Messi was going to be a non-factor essentially in 3 consecutive games against the same team, that they were going to be like, man, you're crazy. And although he was good in that third game because he put some balls in, he got that score, he wasn't able to get that team over that hump. So because of that talent and everything that basically gave an advantageous situation to Inter Miami, to me, it was surprising. And an Atlanta team that was going on a lot of vibes and a lot of character, and they probably gave you their best soccer of the entire season in their last 4 games, including the decision day and the way they came into this playoff run. So maybe miracle might be the wrong word. At the time, he seemed pretty good. Maybe now I'll just say surprising. But again, once you're going against the best team of the season, the Shield, the team that broke the record of points all time for MLS, I think that it was very surprising. And at the time, it did seem like a miracle.
All right. So what's going on with you now that you get to enjoy your morning a little bit? What else is going on that folks need to know about?
Well, I'm hoping to just do I haven't done an open mic in a long time. I like to hear from the fans. So I'm trying to set up with a couple of local analysts to do a open mic on X. I'm going to do just a open space where people can ask their questions. Obviously, I'll have a rundown that I'll go over, talk about Seattle mainly, what's coming up against LAFC. We'll probably get into the overall playoff picture. And then at the end, I'll open it up for folks to ask whatever questions they want. Love to talk to people, especially with where we are right now in the season. So now that I don't have anything going on in Soccer Bar, I'll probably be able to set that up today. And whether it's later on today in the afternoon or tomorrow afternoon, I will have an open mic on at El Rolo NW right there. And then we'll collect that audio, We'll put it in our YouTube channel at Pulso Sports, so folks can listen to that a little bit later. But it's interesting because we will be talking a little bit about that other match in the West that I think is going to be very interesting. I did some. Never mind. That's going to sound weird. I was asked some. I was asked some questions just recently in another show, and one of those questions was, "Is the winner out of the LAFC Sounders matchup gonna end up winning the MLS Cup?" And I said no, mainly because I do feel like LA Galaxy's run of form and the group of talent that they have, to me, are still the contender to come out of the West right now. So it's going to be interesting how that West, that LA Galaxy Minnesota game plays out, because Minnesota has been really good. I think that they could make Ricky struggle to get every single pass that he needs to get out. They're going to be able to close down or try to minimize how good LA Galaxy are on the flanks. So it's going to be a really good matchup. I still got LA Galaxy going through, but I think that was going to be a good matchup. So we'll probably get into that a little bit since we're on the West Coast. So go ahead and check that out. I will put a tweet out of when I'm going to be doing that open mic. But if you guys have any questions about Atlanta or the East Coast, you guys can certainly get on there as well.
No doubt about it. As always, my friend, great to see you on Thursdays. Enjoy your second cup of coffee. We'll keep an eye out at El Rolo and W on the 280-character app for your open space. And we will catch up with you again next week as we get ready for stuff. That's the official term. Thanks for dropping by, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good one.
All right, there goes Niko Moreno. And yeah, Niko brings up a lot of good points. And that was what I wanted to specifically bring up, those two quotes from Garth from the midday show on 92.9. With everything that goes on with those two quotes and how they applied to history with Seattle. So I thought it was really cool to have Niko on to discuss all of that stuff in the past. So that's that. Let me run through what's going on TV today, what to watch, where to watch, how to watch it. We'll go through gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Keep an eye out for our special with Kaylor Hodges from the USL show. Harry has mentioned in the Twitch pitch about a lawsuit apparently that is now on the USL's doorstep from Northern Colorado hailstorm. And it is basically this. Jade Martinez Pogue, the owner of Northern Colorado Hailstorm, has sued the USL for fraud in California state court, alleging the league never paid the team prize money for winning the Jägermeister Cup and uses league funds to promote its other products while not helping out its League One teams. Future Legends LLC, which created Northern Colorado after buying franchise rights for League One, in a Tuesday complaint allege USL never paid the team the $100,000 prize for winning the inaugural Jägermeister Cup earlier this year. The Jägermeister is sponsoring the tournament at the price of $300,000 annual, according to the complaint. The league kept half of the $300,000 for overhead expenses and marketing. Complaint said while a small sum was sent to League One teams to help with marketing, runner-up of the tournament was to get $25,000 and the winner was to get $100,000. Despite them winning the cup and the undefeated record, this is from our friends at Law 360. Despite winning the cup with an undefeated record, despite multiple requests to pay up, the USL, quote, failed and refused, end quote, to pay Niko the prize money, according to the complaint. Further, Niko and Future Legends suffered some additional financial setbacks during the 24 season, kept the league in the loop the entire time, according to the complaint. Remember what we were talking about in the past about the league helping out Northern Colorado to help meet payroll on certain instances, and Kaylor has mentioned that in the past. Parties agreed USL would pay certain expenses with borrowed money so that the team could continue playing, and Niko continued to spend hundreds upon hundreds of thousands to continue operating during the 2024 season. Future Legends said USL officers made promises such as, we'll get you through this season, fix everything after, and, quote, we need to do everything possible to keep you afloat, but terminated its franchise agreements with Future Legends on the first business day after Northern Colorado was knocked out of the 2024 playoffs, the complaint said. Quoting the complaint, these and other statements were made in order to induce Legends to continue to incur and lose hundreds of thousands of dollars to continue the 2024 Niko season under the promise Niko would continue to play in USL League One for the term of its agreement and beyond, and eventually receive all of the promised benefits of a professional soccer league. Future Legends said, despite the promises made, USL never at any time intended to comply with its promises to help the league financially, made the comments with the intent to defraud Future Legends. Future Legends also alleges part of the USL operating model is to use League One to fund marketing, advertising, and programming and offset expenses for the league to promote its separate championship league and increase the overall value of its enterprises for eventual sale. For example, all League One teams are forced to pay to have all games on USL contracted streaming services at a cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars annually with virtually zero return to the club. The league then uses, quote, almost all, end quote, of the USL-owned commercial time on the broadcast to promote Super League, Champions League products, but does not promote League One during the broadcast. Complaint continues. Future Legends is suing on counts of common law fraud, concealment, and conversion. Future Legends is represented by Jeff Katofsky of Katofsky Law. And if I'm not mistaken, Katofsky Law and Jeff Katofsky, if I remember correctly, I thought that Jeff Katofsky was the owner of Future Legends. So please hang on just a second. Because I'm like, wait a second. The connection, so if I could spell Hailstorm, I think I'd be doing all right. Yeah, Jeff Katofsky, front office staff, Northern Colorado Hailstorm. So that's what you're looking at. Future Legends back in 2020. So Jeff Katofsky representing himself and Future Legends. So Jeff Katofsky on the 280 character app has not posted anything on his 280 character app since September 28th. He is on the 280 character app. But yes, Katofsky is part of the Katofsky family that does own Northern Colorado Hailstorm. Jeff and his son Casey are co-owners of Future Legends and Hailstorm, along with Ryan Spielborgs, who's listed as a co-owner as well. So that's where we're looking when it comes to Northern Colorado Hailstorm. So keep an eye on that. We'll talk to Kaylor Hodges about that coming up. So once again, just keep an eye out on social media platforms for the release of this interview. But we'll talk about this. We'll talk about Memphis 901. We'll talk about anything else that's going on the planet. And that'll be out later this morning. We're also going to have conversations with Emory as they get ready for the D3 soccer postseason, both the men's and women's side. That'll be up also on the platform later today as well. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it as we go. And it is the soccer on the TVs. Remember, tonight, Jamaica and USA on a bunch of different networks, as well as a lot of college soccer. We'll get into that coming up in a second. Nations League, Greece and England on FS1 at 2:45. Kazakhstan and Austria is in the second half right now on FS2. Jamaica and USA is on TNT. Gold TV, remember Uruguay, Primera, 2:30 and 5 o'clock on Gold TV. Get Gold TV, Teise, Nuestra Tele for the fans. And CDO, you can get that at fanatisfntz.co/soccer down here, along with all the BNs. Become a true sicko like me. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. Tuda NA has Greece and England also at 2:45. Universo simulcasting Jamaica, USA. FIFA Plus has the Oceania qualifying. They had Papua New Guinea and Fiji on at 1 o'clock this morning. Samoa and Tahiti's on at 10. Fox Soccer Plus has Armenia and the Faroe Islands at noon. France and Israel at 2:45. Max is also simulcasting Jamaica and the USA. One Football has a lot of World Cup qualifying going on. Oman and Palestine has just started, as well as UAE and Kyrgyzstan, Qatar, Uzbekistan, and Iraq and Jordan. We mentioned CONCACAF Nations League on Paramount Plus. Pay-per-view has your qualifying for the World Cup, the CONMEBOL activity. Venezuela, Brazil at 4. Paraguay, Argentina, 6:30. Ecuador, Bolivia is at 7. Peacock simulcasting Jamaica, USA as well. VIX has 3, 6, 7 matchups in Nations League. Kazakhstan and Austria, Armenia, Faroe Islands, Belgium and Italy, France, Israel, Ireland, Finland, North Macedonia, Latvia, Slovenia, Norway. All of those are at 2:45. Now, college soccer. Once again, we are in tournament play. Division II is going to be coming out with their brackets after this weekend. They're a week behind. Today, on the men's side, Metro Atlantic Athletic at 12:05. Everything is on ESPN Plus. If it's not ACC, and ACC is on ACC Network. 12:05, two matchups from the Metro Atlantic Athletic. 1 o'clock, Green Bay and Oakland in the Horizon League. Milwaukee and Robert Morris at 4 on the Horizon League. American Conference, Charlotte and South Florida is at 4:30. 5:30 and 8, your doubleheader in the ACC on the men's side. Virginia, Wake, Cal, and Clemson. 8 o'clock in the American, FIU in Memphis. That's on ESPN Plus. Okay, so there you go. That's the rundown of everything going on today. I think I've got it all. And yes, Alex, having Atlanta in World News for punting Inter Miami must have set managers' agents to 11. I'm sure Gart's phone blew the blank up. Tomorrow, it looks like Bart's going to bat leadoff to talk about what happened tonight. Hopefully, our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring can hop by at 9:30. Jessica Charman joining us at 10. And wherever else we go is wherever else we go to get you ready for the weekend. So keep an eye out for anything and everything going on. We're also going to catch up with Conno Smith from Rhode Island FC. That'll be up on the network in audio form later this afternoon, early part tonight, as they get ready for the Western Conference Final in Charleston against Charleston Battery. We got that to talk about, too, with Kaler and everybody there. So we are on the plus side. The fourth held up the light board, and we've blown through it. We'll be back in a little less than 22. And play it safe, everybody. Mucho platial. Thanks to all of our guests today, as always. Thanks to Bart. Thanks to Nino. Thanks to Niko. And thanks to you for being a part of it, as you always are. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by here on the morning show. Whew. We flew this morning. We always fly on Thursdays. So once again, thanks to all of you guys. Play it safe, everybody. Mucho platial. And since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again. A lot of content later today. 9:05 tomorrow morning to wrap up your week on a Friday. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you.